Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me in this session tonight. I appreciate you for your audience. I appreciate the organizers of the IMC, the Intentional Marriage Conference, Pastors Bisi Adewale, who is my daddy, and Pastor Mrs. Oluwayomi Adewale, who, of course, I can gladly call my mommy as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this amazing program. And I strongly believe that what people will learn here today will go a long way to impact their lives positively. If you have been a part of the initial opening session, I believe that you have learned a lot. You have taken a lot away as well. And as we go into this second session, you equally will be going on with a lot of things. So we are going to be looking at this very interesting topic, the power of intentional and continuous learning in marriage. So this topic is not just about those who are, it's not just for those who are married. It is equally for those who are single and are, of course, maybe in relationship or in courtship, or will soon, later than sooner, sooner than later, also get into, a courtship that will be marriage bound. So don't think that I'm single and this does not apply to me. I want to encourage you to pay attention and also take notes and apply whatever you learn, because being in courtship, even if it is 2 weeks to your wedding, does not mean that you are wedded yet. If you don't apply what you have learned, if you don't keep learning, you will make a mess of everything. And for those who are already married, this is going to be a very interesting session for you as well. So I pray that as we open this session, the second session, the Lord will minister to us. He will speak to our needs, and it will bring about transformation in the life of every one of us in the name of Jesus. Thank you for answer to prayers. In Jesus' name we pray. So the power of intentional and continuous learning in marriage. Now, first thing first, in this session, we are going to be addressing the following. Number one, we'll be looking at what is learning. Then we'll also look at what is learning in marriage, right? What is learning in marriage? Because that differentiation is important, because many people have learned in life. They've gone to school, primary school, secondary school, and now they are married, and they feel that, and now that I'm married, learning has stopped. I don't need to learn anything again. I don't need to read any book again. I don't need to listen to anybody again. I don't need to just pay attention to anything again, because they believe that marriage is a place where they have come to settle down. And that is the danger that is bedeviling many homes today. They enter marriage and they say, I have come to settle down. There is nothing to learn again. So there is a part to learning that is inside marriage. Then we'll also look at the reality of some married people about learning in marriage. What is the reality about some married people? What is their mindset, concerning learning, even though they are already married? Then we also look at the consequences of not embracing continuous learning in marriage. If you don't, embrace continuous learning in marriage, there are consequences. There are consequences that you are going to face. So we are going to be looking at those consequences today. We also look at what to learn about in marriage continuously. What do you actually need to learn about? And lastly, we'll talk about where and how to get continuous learning in marriage. These are some of the things and more that we'll be looking at today. The first thing is, what is learning? According to Richard Gross, learning is the process of acquiring new, and I will mention those 7 things. There are 7 things that learning entails. If you say, oh, I am learning something, or I'm reading a book to learn something, or I'm learning a trade, or I'm in school, I'm studying a course, whatever you are learning in that course, in that trade, in that organization, everything is centered around 7 things. And I'm going to be listing them to you, this evening. According to Richard Gross, he said learning is a process of acquiring new, number 1, skills. You need skills to run your marriage successfully. You need skills to understand your spouse. One of the skills that many married people are lacking today is the skill of active listening. They will tell their husband, I'm listening to you, yet they are not paying attention. It is a skill that you need to learn. So learning involves acquiring new skills. Number 2, it involves acquiring new values. If you are preparing for marriage or you are already in marriage, marriage will teach you new values. But the teaching is one thing on its own. The acceptance of the teaching is another. That is, when marriage is teaching you new values, you can either choose to accept it or to reject it. Those who accept the new values that marriage brings to them definitely go on to enjoy their relationship in marriage. And those who reject the values, they also go on to suffer for their rejection. Then number 3, learning new attitude. The attitude that you had as a single person, for instance, may not be able to carry you in marriage. And so when you come into marriage, you need to learn new attitude. You need to learn how to relate with in-laws. That is an attitude that you need to learn. There's an attitude that involves interrelationship with in-laws. There's an attitude that has to do with interrelating with the community where you are in. Marriage is going to teach you that. Number 4, it involves acquiring new behavior. You cannot continue to behave the way you used to behave when you were single, and then you tell people that is the way I am. Say, you tell your husband, you know me, this is the way I have been all my life. If you do that, you are going to ruin your marriage. I pray you will not ruin your marriage. So you need new behavior, because the new phase of life where you are in, which is marriage, also needs new toolkits. You need new instruments. You need new tools. You need new gadgets, new everything to make it to work. So your behavior has to improve. Number 5, you need new knowledge. You need new knowledge because this is another phase entirely. For example, as a man, you have never lived with one woman before consistently every day of your life before you got married. And now you are now with one woman only, called your wife. You're going to be waking up, sleeping, and seeing this one woman. She's going to be farting around you. She's going to be doing some annoying things. She's going to be doing some amazing things that will amaze you and say, wow. You need to gather knowledge on how to react, knowledge on how to take decisions. All of these things are part of the learning. Number 6, you need knowledge on new preferences. Now that you come into marriage, you need to understand preferences. When you were single, maybe your video game was your major preference, or going to the football viewing center to go and watch ball. Maybe that was your preference on every Saturday. But now that you are married, you need to understand that your preferences have to change. Your preferences have to move. Maybe your friends were your major pals before you got married. Marriage is going to teach you that you need to change your preferences. You need to move your preferences from what they were when you were single to what your preferences need to be now that you are married. Your focus now needs to be on your marriage. Your focus now needs to be on your home. Your focus now needs to be on your spouse. Your focus now needs to be on the growth of the marriage that you have now started. And then lastly, which is understanding. You need new understanding of your role as a wife, new understanding of your role as a husband, new understanding of your role as a mother when you now bring forth a life, new understanding of your role as a father to be on what you need to do. And then finally, or maybe along the way, new understanding of your role as a father when the baby comes or when the babies begin to come. So different aspects of all of these 7 things: skill, values, attitude, behavior, knowledge, preferences, and understanding are really important if you want to have a marriage that you will say, wow, I am enjoying this. Now, by extension, if you look at that definition by Richard Gross, if we extend it to what we can call an intentional learning in marriage, it is a process of continuously, please take note, continuously. Not that I have read one book in the first year of my marriage and that is all. No. The process of continuously gathering all the 7 items I've listed before: understanding, knowledge, behavior, skills, values, attitude, and preferences about, number 1, your choices, your decisions, and the actions that will make your marriage to move from woe to wow. Some marriages are in a woeful stage, not because those marriages cannot improve, but those or one of the people in those marriages refuse to learn intentionally. They refuse to gather new understanding. They refuse to gather new knowledge. They refuse to change their behavior. They refuse to gather new skills. And they say, she should be able to understand me. My husband should be able to know that this is the person I am. And then the choices that they are making have continuously made their relationship, their marriage, to remain in a woeful state. But if you want to change and learn and grow your marriage, you need to be intentional about learning. so that you can move from woe to woe. You know, when I first got married, there were some things that I faced. The knowledge I have today, I didn't have them, you know, back in 2016. And then we were struggling, my wife and I. We have consistent conflicts. I would offend her, and then I would offend her again and again, and then I would keep apologizing. It was very frustrating. That is the kind of marriage some people are in today. A frustrating enterprise, a frustrating union where nobody is learning, or one person is just shouting and asking for change and the other person is not moving. But if you want to move your marriage from that woeful state to a wowful state, you need to be committed to intentional learning. Or if you want to move your marriage from being an ordinary relationship, an ordinary marriage, to something extraordinary, you need to give yourself to intentional learning. And that involves continuously gathering knowledge, continuously gathering new values and attitude that will make your marriage to grow. So there are some wrong realities, you know, that some married people are facing today. They even say it proudly. And as a counselor, you know, if you are into counseling or you counsel singles or the married, you would have heard one of this before. Number one, you will hear people say we are doing fine. When you tell them you need to talk to a counselor, you need to talk to a therapist, you need to read books, you need to attend seminars, free ones, paid ones. You need to attend webinars, seminars, conferences on marriage and relationship. They'll tell you, forget it. We are doing fine. There is no need for us to learn anything further. Please mark it. Anybody that has this kind of mindset will not grow a marriage. They will eventually ruin their marriage. Anybody, the marriage may not collapse, but they will hardly enjoy their marriage. Their spouses will hardly enjoy them. Their children will hardly enjoy them because they keep ignoring what is obvious. And then they say, we are doing fine. There is no need for us to learn anything. Number two, some people will say, those you want to learn from are not doing well either. It is all facade. And then they say, oh, the counselors that you want to go and talk to, what do you know is happening in their marriages? People that make this kind of statements are people who have embraced ignorance. And this mindset is a wrong mindset that prevents people from being committed to intentional learning. Number three, there is no such thing as what you are saying. So we are good. You know, there was a case of somebody who chatted me up recently. The wife, you know, was telling the husband that what you are doing is affecting my mental health. And the man said, what are you talking about? What is mental health? How is it affecting your mental health? You know, things like that. That is what happens when you don't commit yourself to learning. You are not mindful of the consequences of your utterances, consequences of your actions, consequences of your decision. And so when your partner is saying that what you are doing is affecting me negatively, what you are doing is putting me down, is weighing me down, you don't seem to understand what they are talking about because you are not learning, because you are not reading, because you are not studying. You are not even studying your spouse. Number four, some say, I am not speaking to any counselor. You are the one with problems, so fix it. We hear this one a lot. And do you know it is even scriptural? When it comes to conflict resolution in the scriptures, the Bible gives us the stages of conflict resolution. The first stage, say, talk to the person one-on-one. If the person does not listen to you, look for another party to come and talk to the person. And that is the stage where people in this category 4 fall into. You bring in somebody to still talk to them. They will not listen. They say, no way. I don't want to talk to anybody. You are the one with problem. Go and fix your problem. You know, a couple of months ago, a woman contacted me and said she and her husband, they had a marital problem, and then they needed to sort out some things, and then I should tell her what they needed. And then I gave her my, you know, what they needed. I said, you need to go through marriage clinic, as my daddy has taught me. Pastor Bisi Adewale. I said, okay, you need to go through marriage clinic, and this and this and this are what you need to go through, and this is the cost. I sent it to her. She forwarded it to her husband, and then she came back to me. She said, the husband said the money was too much, blah, 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 blah. And then I said, no problem. And then I left them alone. Do you know that just last week, I got a message from the woman after some months, came back and said, her husband is now ready. You see, those who don't learn, they commit themselves into errors. And take note, the days and the weeks and the months and the years that you waste not learning simply because of your arrogance or your ignorance, you can never recover. So those people that say, I don't want to speak to any counselor, they are in the scriptures. Counselors come in, they still will not listen. Then the Bible says, report him to the church, report her to the church, let the church come in. They still will not listen. So there are people like that. Singles, pay attention to such people. When you see those signals, please learn to ask yourself if you are indeed with the right person. Now, what do you need to gather knowledge about? What do you need to commit yourself to intentionally when it comes to the issue of marriage? Number one, you need to learn about marriage itself. Some people don't understand the marriage they want to get into. They don't understand. All their understanding is that I am 25, I'm 26, 27, 28. I'm already in the age bracket where I can marry or I should marry. And then they start praying, they start looking for who to get married to. But they don't understand the meaning, what marriage really means. Gather knowledge about it intentionally. Intentionally ask yourself, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a husband? What does it mean to be a wife? Number two, learn about the demands of marriage. Marriage has demands. Marriage and the demands of marriage will come to you the moment you say I do. You don't need to invite those demands. They will naturally come to you. Have you learned the demands? And when you have learned the demands, are you ready to meet the demands? Then number three, marriage has stages and phases. Marriage has stages and phases. In the early stage, it may look very rosy, like nothing is going to happen, like everything will be rosy all throughout. And then before you know it, it will metamorphose into the next phase where you may be having some issues. But if you don't have knowledge, if you have not gathered the right knowledge, you may not be able to cope. Then the challenges that marriage also brings. Are you aware of those challenges? Are you aware of pregnancy complications? They may come, they may not come, but are you aware? Just the fact that you are aware alone is a form of knowledge. Then there are marriage systems. I learned that from our convener, Pastor Bisi Adewale. One day I sat with him, my wife and I will sat with him in the office, and he was teaching us about the systems that run a marriage and how a marriage is like an electrical system that have been put in place. You turn on this one responds. The plumbing work that is in the home is a system. You turn on the tap and then water runs because there is water in the tank, because there is pumping machine that brought water from the ground. So the systems that run a marriage, the communication system, the in-law management system, the financial management system, all of this, in the emotional management system, all of these things. Have you learned about them? Have you read about them? Have you attended conferences where these things are taught? Be committed to learning. Because if you don't learn, marriage will deal with you. It's not a course. If you don't learn before you go into it, marriage is going to deal with you. And then yourself, you need to learn about yourself. Who are you? Gather knowledge about yourself. Some people don't know themselves, yet they want to go and marry. That is where disaster begins for many. Know thyself. Study yourself. Study your reactions. Study your responses. Understand yourself. What kind of understanding do you have of yourself? What needed changes do you need to make to yourself, by yourself, before you go into that marriage? Some singles are not ready for marriage, but they don't know. That is the disaster that some people are in. They are not ready for marriage, but they don't know. The only thing that makes them think that they are ready for marriage is their age. And in fact, some people are also married today, but they are not ready. They are not ready because they don't know that the changes that they are supposed to make have not been made. And adjustment. Ask yourself, what do I need to adjust? This can only happen when you gather knowledge about yourself. And how can you gather knowledge about yourself? Let people talk to you and gather feedback. Learn. Be committed to learning from people. When people are telling you, for instance, your mother is telling you, Shade, this thing that you are doing, or your mother or your daddy is shouting, Esther, this thing that you are doing, they are already telling you of your future. The adjustments you need to make. Listen, pay attention. And then number three, your spouse. You need to gather knowledge about your spouse. The Bible talks about in 1 John chapter 3, verse 7. It says, deal with them according to knowledge. Deal with them according to knowledge. The spouse, the person you are married to, do you know the phase that your spouse is in? The stage that your spouse is in? The mood. Do you know the mood of your spouse? Anytime you see your spouse being moody or whatever disposition they maintain, do you understand what they are going through? Can you tell? Sometimes my wife will tell me, just yesterday we were coming from a program, and my wife just told me and said she saw the way I was looking into the blank, and then she asked me. She just said, "A penny for your thoughts." Anytime she says a penny for your thoughts, it means she wants me to talk about what is on my mind. Can you look at your spouse and understand what they are going through? their emotions, their psychology. Some time ago, I spoke with a woman contacted me, and she said, I don't understand why my husband handles conflict like this. We will have conflict, and if we want to go to bed, he will do something to me. He knows that he has done something to me, and I'm not happy about it, and he will not talk. He will spend hours, days, or the following day before he responds to it. Gather knowledge about women. If you are a man, go and look for books, go and look for video courses, go and look for sound coaches that have spoken about women. Understand women. If you are a man, go and look for videos and books that talk about understanding men. Understand your spouse. That is what is lacking in some marriages today, because the man is not paying attention. He does not understand the spouse. He does not know what the spouse is going through. Then number 4, understand the changes that come from. Go and gather knowledge. Before you enter at all, go and gather knowledge about conception. Read about it. The moment you get married, go and read about it. Go to Google, look for books. Go and read. Every woman is a book you can read. Pregnancy. What are the demands of pregnancy? The pressures that marriage will bring. The parenting, the bills, the finances. Gather knowledge. My wife sent a video to me this morning, and the pastor was talking about how he and his wife, they spent the first year of their marriage to just learn about money. 1 year to learn about money, and definitely they are doing better today. So gather knowledge about key things that marriage is going to bring to you. So what do you need to get knowledge? What do you need to get knowledge? You may be ready, say, hey, I want to learn, but there are certain things you need before you can get that knowledge. Number 1, you need to accept ignorance. The non-acceptance of ignorance is the major problem that many people face today. They don't accept that they don't know anything. You see, the moment you don't agree that you don't know anything, we're not saying you are daft. We're not saying you know nothing really, but you don't know everything, right? And this marriage that you are in or that you want to get into, accept that you don't know everything about it. That acceptance is really key. Is the start point. Because the reason some people say, go and talk to your counselor, I'm not ready, I'm not available, is because they are lacking in knowledge and they have not accepted that ignorance. Number 2, you need hunger to be able to commit yourself to intentional learning about marriage. Number 3, you need information. You see, information. Somebody visited my wife and I today, one of our previous counselees. He came in and, he was sharing some information, with us, and we were wowed. Information is powerful. For example, there can be programs that can transform your life, but if you don't attend them, you can never know. If you don't have the information about the program, you can never tell. You won't even know when it will happen. My wife and I missed a program by Pastor Tony Rapu, I think last year. There's this program he organizes called Shekere every year. We attended one in 2022. So we missed the one for 2023 because we didn't have the information. And we are not happy with ourselves. So get information from people. Number 3, you need consistency. When you are hungry to learn and the information is available, be consistent. The program that our host, the program coordinator mentioned, the Mega Marriage Summit that happens every month, is a consistent program that my wife and I we have been attending since 2020. There are very few months that we missed out, maybe because we traveled or something happened. Even one of those periods, maybe we didn't attend, we would have connected online somehow. Although not for all of them, but consistency. And that's the problem that some of us have. You say you want to read, you pick one book today, you read 2 pages and you dump it. You are not committed to it. So consistency is key. Then discipline. Discipline is what will lead to mastery. If you are not disciplined, you will never be able to commit yourself to intentional learning in marriage. Then intentionality. If you are not intentional, forget it. You will soon give up. It is those who are intentional that are consistent. All right. Then the mind. If your mind is not, available to gather knowledge, you will never get better. So ask yourself, am I giving my mind to this? And then your listening skill. One of the major things that you need to learn to gather knowledge is your listening skill. Your spouse might have been saying something over and over and over, but you are not paying attention to it because you are not listening. And then the community that you belong to, who are the people in that community? For example, I belong to several communities by Pastor Bisi Adewale, WhatsApp groups, Telegram, physical meetings. that community will continue to charge me. It charges me. For example, when it calls a meeting and I go to the meeting, I get charged up. That is seeking knowledge. That is soaking in knowledge. And then that is what will drive your growth. You know, what we have learned from him, his books, and, you know, a lot of other sources, they are what are driving us today and making us to enjoy the kind of marriage that we are in. I don't know, but the last one is the result in focus. Think about the results that you will get when you commit yourself to learning. That result should drive you. That result should push you. Then where do I learn continuously? There are places you can learn continuously. Number one, there are paid seminars that you can attend, free seminars that you can attend. For example, this Intentional Marriage Conference is a free conference. You should tell your friends, tell your family, tell your relatives about it. It's a place where you can learn. So, for example, when I met Pastor Bisi in 2020, you know, graciously, and he mentioned his monthly marriage summit, mega marriage summit to us, and my wife and I started attending. Like, we don't want to miss it. If you look at the testimony of the young couples that was played before I came up, look at how young they are. But I can tell you that their life is not the same as maybe some other young people out there, because they are always, I always see them at the mega marriage summit where they are feeding every month. Like I do tell my online audience, I said it's like going for monthly checkup for my wife and I. We go, and when you listen to the same thing together, when you are committed to it every month, you don't miss it. Even if you travel out of Lagos, if you are not available, you connect, you know, remotely. It changes. In fact, there are certain things that have been taken care of just because we attend the monthly Mega Marriage Summit. We don't even have to sit down and talk about those things, because as we listen, our systems are being re-engineered. Then webinars and workshops. There are paid ones. I've attended some paid trainings by the convener of this program. Don't be a person that is given to free. You don't want to pay a dime. No. Part of the commitment to continuous and intentional learning in marriage is that you need to pay. When I first met the convener, one of those early times I went to his office, I said, I needed his books. Give me his books. Give me your books. And all the available books then that were physically available, I bought them. They are treasures. They are behind me in this shelf that is behind me. Sometimes I want to prepare a message. I look for the right book, and then I open, and then I pick 1 or 2 points here and there. That is what makes you a person that grows continuously. Buy books. There are some of the books that will be on bonus, that will be on discounts. Buy them, and when you buy them, don't put them on the shelf. Put them in yourself. Very important. Don't just dress your shelf with, I have books. Are they in you? They are treasured. Then you can also learn from your spouse. This one is underrated. Learning from your spouse is an underrated thing. There are certain things your spouse has been saying repeatedly that you have not paid attention to. That is where you need to learn. That thing your partner has been complaining about repeatedly. I spoke to a couple a couple of weeks ago, and the woman was complaining about what the husband was doing. And eventually, we couldn't even continue with the counsel, because the assignment I gave them, the man was not ready to do it. And then the group got dissolved. That is the problem. If you want to learn, you have to learn from your spouse. Your spouse is like a book. Read them. There is a pain point that they also have. There's also displeasure they have. Then there's also joy. There's something you did that they were really, really pleased about. Learn from it. There is something that you did that made them really feel satisfied, that they thank you for it. They came to kneel down and say, hey, my dear, I really thank you for this. Learn from it and repeat that thing again. And then you can also learn from sound Bible-based coaches. Sound Bible-based coaches. Learn from them. Read their books, attend their seminars, paid ones, go to their programs, and learn and grow thereby. Then, why should you give yourself to continuous learning? We are almost done. Why should you give yourself to continuous learning? You see, when you don't know the reason for a thing, you may not know why. Of course, you will not know what there will be no conviction for you to give yourself to. You need to give yourself to continuous learning, because number one, it will help you to improve. If I tell you the improvement that my exposure to learning under the leadership and mentorship of the convener of this conference has given me and my wife, God, it is immeasurable. The improvement is massive. Is it the way I relate with my wife? Is it the books I've been able to write? When I met Pastor Bisi Adewale, for instance, I only wrote 1 book. Today, I've written up to 5 because of my learning from the way he does his things. There was a time I sat with him in his office and he was teaching me the principle of rabbiting in writing books. That is because I am committed to learning. You know, sometimes we'll just go to his office and he will just talk to us. That's commitment to learning. Don't ever think that you have arrived. You have not even started. you have not started. If you are watching, type in the comment section, I've not even started. So be given to continuous learning in marriage because it will improve your marriage relationship. My wife and I have been able to grow because we are learning continuously, from different programs, paid ones, free ones, improvements. That's one of the major reasons why you should give yourself to continuous learning in marriage. Number 2, it will lead you to grow. You won't just improve, you will also grow. Growth is an indication of positive progress. If you get married in 2020, for instance, and by 2024, what you are complaining about in 2020, you are still complaining about it 4 years after, then you are not growing. And if you are not growing, check your learning parameters. Are you learning? Is that something you are committed to, that you are learning, consistently? Check it. And you can never grow if you are not committed to learning. Number 3, you will become an inspiration to many people. To the glory of God, I get messages from people and they will tell me, you are inspiring me, you are doing this. I was not like that in 2016. But because I was given to continuous learning, I began to grow. My wife and I began to grow, began to improve. Give yourself to learning and be intentional about it. Don't let anything stop you from being intentional about it. That will make you to become an inspiration to many people. Let me tell you something. Just before I came on this section, I've not even told Papa. Just before I came on this session, somebody sent me a message from the UK, said they want to do a conference, and that Pastor Bisi came highly recommended. I should send him, his number. He wanted to contact Pastor Bisi. Why is it that they want to invite him to the UK, to come and teach them in that marriage conference? It is because he has dedicated himself to learning, and I am proud that I am under his mentorship, learning and growing thereby. And that is why in just a space of about 4 years that I met him, I trained under him to become a marriage counselor. I went through his diploma in marriage counseling. I went through his advanced diploma in marriage counseling. I went through other paid and free programs. I have learned so much. Hey, God, I have learned so much, yet so little, that today I get invitations from here and there to come and speak in churches, in gatherings. About 3 weeks ago, I was in a company in Ikeja to come and speak. Why did that happen? Because when I met him, I stayed there to learn. So ask yourself, who is teaching you? Who is talking to you? Who is guiding you? Who can talk to you and say, sit down there? Who are you? Who is your mentor? Who are you learning from? There was a time Pastor called me to his office, and before I even went to the office, I already know what he wanted to say, because I knew I did something online that he didn't like, and already I knew who is talking to you, who can tell you, stop that thing you are doing, and you can stop it. If you don't have anybody like that in your life, you are not, your channel of learning has been blocked. Your pipe for learning has been seriously blocked. You cannot be an inspiration to many. Go and commit yourself to learning. Stay under a mentor. And then lastly, if you give yourself to learning and you improve, you grow, you become an inspiration to many, your life will give glory to God. The Bible says, let your light so shine that they might see thy good works and glorify thy Father who is in heaven. That will never happen if you are not committed to learning. I hope you have learned something from this session tonight. Thank you so much for your audience. God bless you.